Governor Newsom celebrated tonight's passage, saying it's a direct result of President Trump's attempt to interfere in the midterm elections.
We stood tall and we stood firm in response to Donald Trump's recklessness. And tonight, after poking the bear, this bear roared with an unprecedented turnout in a special election with an extraordinary result.
And joining us now to talk about Prop 50 and the results tonight are San Diego County Supervisor Paloma Aguirre and former San Diego County Republican Party Chair Corey Gustafson. Thank you both for coming in on a busy night. You were the winner tonight as the Democrats overwhelmingly passed Prop 50 tonight. Let's get your reaction just moving forward. It's passed now. What do you see in the future?
Well, I agree with Governor Newsom. This was a clear rebuke on Trump and his failed agenda, especially as it comes to cost of living. He promised to lower the cost of living on day one. We have not seen that happen. In fact, we've seen prices rise because of his tariff policies and now because of the longest in history government shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of families here in San Diego County are going to go without assistance for food. And that is just cruel, and it's because they have this power grab that they've intended to do, as we heard in Texas, and they're planning in other states. The people of California have spoken loud and clear. This was a landslide win in California. It was a landslide win in Virginia and New York and New Jersey. And it's a clear, for me, rebuke on the Trump's policies and his administration.
And Corey, let's just look, what do the Republicans do now? What does the future look like? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, look, I mean, we live in a state that unfortunately is 2-to-1 Democrat. There's not enough red jerseys on the field in California. So what we have to do is be persistent in recruiting Republicans, registering Republicans to vote so we can compete on a statewide basis here in California. The other thing that Republicans have to do, not only in California but across the nation, is, to be honest with you, we can't be complacent. The Democrats are angry, they're mobilized, they're getting their voters out to the polls, and we're not, because we're doing too much winning. Contrary to what the supervisor just said, inflation's down in the United States right now, the stock market's rising, we have a fully secured southern border, we've cleaned up the messes of the Biden administration in only 10 months. And so Republicans are sitting back and saying they like what's going on, they like what they see, so they're not motivated enough to get to the polls. But what we saw tonight across the nation is that Republicans have to fight for President Trump's legacy, or else the Democrats are going to take us back to the dark ages of the Biden administration policy, higher taxes. We don't want that. Democrats want higher taxes. They're voting for it here in San Diego County on the Board of Supervisors, but Republicans want lower taxes, and we want the golden age of America in the Golden State.
Let's go back to one of the viewers just said, she called it sad. And I do want to ask, Republicans are feeling a bit, are we represented anymore? So how does that play? Is it incumbent now on Democrats to say we represent everyone?
We always represent everybody. When you're in office, you represent everybody equally. But contrary to what my colleague's saying, people aren't content. I just came off the campaign trail. I know very well what people are going through. Working families are suffering, whether they're Republican, whether they're Democrat, whether they're independent. They're struggling to put food on the table. They're struggling to keep a roof over their head. They're struggling to put their kids through school. And they're not complacent. They're not just getting the results that they were promised by the Trump administration. He was very clear since day one that he was going to lower the cost of living, and that hasn't happened. Like I said, it's gotten worse. So yes, we govern for everybody, but I will say here in California, I couldn't see a clearer picture that the people want a new direction, because who's in power right now in the executive, in the legislative, and the judicial and federal government is not working.
And Corey, let's ask you, nationally, when we look at this, what do you see happening, and what do Republicans need to do? Because we don't know yet what this has touched off in the country.
Well, look, Republicans are in control nationwide, but Republicans are not in control of California. I think the supervisor knows that she has a majority. Democrats have a majority on the County Board of Supervisors. They have a supermajority in Sacramento. They control the governor's office. So what we see going wrong in California is not Republicans' fault. This is the fault of the Democratic Party. And what you saw on display tonight, where Governor Newsom took his victory lap of his partisan power grab, you saw right behind him. They said that this has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with what's fair. And you saw right behind him logos of the California Democratic Party all night. So the Democrats and Gavin Newsom sold a bill of goods to Californians, and they were successful doing it. Hats off to them. They won the election tonight. But the fact of the matter is that the problems that Californians face now is not because of Republican policies. This has to do with the failed government in Sacramento and in San Diego County that is totally controlled by Democrats. They're constantly talking about Texas. They want to copy Texas. They say, look, we want to copy Texas's gerrymandering. Well, what I would say is I hope that they would copy their lower tax policies. They're pro-business policies, less regulation so we can build more housing. So I say, yes, let's copy Texas, but not in gerrymandering. Better policies is where we should follow Texas's lead.
All right, we have to leave it there. There's so much to talk about. Yeah, I have a wrap tonight, but you're both invited anytime. Let's continue the conversation. Much more to talk about. Corey Gustafson, and of course, we always appreciate Paloma Aguirre joining us as well. And we will look forward on this issue and talk much more about it.